right.
All right, welcome. Happy Monday. It is another episode of Casket Ready Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Life, and I'm also here, my co-host, Real Estate Ra, in the building. Yes, happy Monday once again. Also, happy Labor Day, because it is Labor Day. It's also the first of the month, right? So shout out to everybody who's enjoying themselves, enjoying this day off, for whatever reason. I hope you're having fun at the barbecues. If you're in New York, you should be on that parkway, right? You should be on that parkway. I would say, I'm enjoying myself right now. I'm actually having me a nice little glass of wine. And I know you are too, Ross. So go ahead, let's actually toast to that, right? Let's toast to Labor Day. Have a little sip, right? Mm-hmm. So we out here, we enjoying ourselves, we enjoying our Labor Day. And so today is going to be the topic of who is paying for the funeral? Who's paying for that funeral? Who's going to do it? That's the topic for today. Who's going to pay for your funeral when you're no longer here, right? Who's going to pay for your funeral? Are you going to pay for your family's funeral? Let's talk about it. Let's not waste any time, right? I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself, and you go ahead and let's talk about
Yeah, man. I mean, first off, who's gonna pay for the funeral? I think you got it. You got me right. Listen, funeral costs is super expensive, which is why we're gonna talk about that today. We don't get right into it, man. It's hard when someone dies. It's a lot of money to come up with, so it's tough, and a lot of times you don't have that uncomfortable conversation with our family members and close friends, but it has to be had. But I know you have a video, K, to play real quick, so we can kind of go over that.
Before I play that video, just to let you know, I ain't paying for it. Not doing it. I'm not doing it. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into this video. Hold on, let me take a second to share this with the people. Hold on here. Make sure. Okay, looking good. Let me go ahead and start that.
This actually looked like a scene from Get Out, the stand-up version. This is frightening. There's a lot of white people here. I'm sorry, it's just for me. Y'all don't realize how scary this just looked. You know what's funny? It feels good because I mean, like my money has changed. I'm like not broke anymore, and that's a good thing. When you actually have some money. But my family ended up finding out, and that's the scariest thing in the world. My uncle called me. I don't know if anybody got this in their family. You got one person in your family that everybody call when something going wrong, somebody needs something. He called me one day. I answered the phone like, "Hello." He said, "Your turn," and hung up. I was like, "Who is this?" Like, "What you mean my turn?" Then he called me up. He called me back and said, "Look, man, my brother died, and I told him I'm on vacation. You got more money now, so you're gonna have to be the one to take care of everything. So they all gonna call you. They're in the living room now, they meeting. They're gonna call you on speakerphone, and they're gonna ask you for the money." I said, "What?" And he hung up again. I'm like, damn. So then I get the next call, it's the whole family, they all they all in the living room. They like, "Look here, I know you heard that your uncle died, and we all came up with all we can come up with, between all 15 of us. We was able to come up with $94. All we need is 9,744 more." Like, what? I was mad because I'm like, this dude, like, he was on drugs the whole time and he stole from everybody. So like, we finna pay for a funeral that somebody owes us money? That don't make no damn sense. Then I feel bad because my grandmother, that's why I paid for it. That's her son, and she was sad about it. And she was crying and she was hurt. I'm like, all right, Grandma, I got you. I don't care about the rest of everybody else. I'm doing this because this is your son. This is for you.
All right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So he touched on a lot of points, man. Funeral's expensive. Funeral's expensive. And how many times you come across where it's a funeral, you only have a couple days, a week max to come up with the money for your family. So he touched on the whole thing where it's like it really is that situation. The way this economy is set up and how times are hard and everybody's struggling, everybody's paycheck to paycheck, it's a hard pill to swallow. Where it's like everybody's living paycheck to paycheck, and it's like, all right, you know, grandma died or mom's died or a close cousin died. And it's like we all need money. And collectively, in these hard times, like he said, 15 people put together came up with $94. And it's that real. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, truth be told, when it comes to funeral expenses, we got to have the conversations. Because on a serious note, it's a real thing. You got to have a policy in place, a final expense policy. And you can elaborate on that a little bit more, okay?
And even before I elaborate on that, like, even though he made it into a joke, but that's the real thing, though, because it's like a lot of times, you know, there's going to be maybe one or two family members out of the whole family who could literally afford to pay for the whole funeral. And guess what? If you're listening and you are one of those people, if you're one of those people in the family, like, you know, it's not a secret. So if you are one of those people in the family, you got to know that they're going to come to you. They're going to come to you when grandma passes away, when auntie passes away, when uncle passes away. They're going to come to you. And what the question is, what are you going to do when that time does come? And they, you know, everybody's looking at you because, like he said, only $94 was saved up between the whole family, you know, and that's just an expression of the majority of the family is only going to put in the smallest contribution, and then you're going to have to be the one that put in the biggest contribution. Are you prepared for that? Financially, you would be, but are you willing to do that? That's the real thing. And then you're going to feel bad, just like he felt bad for his grandmother. So what did he do? He actually said, you know what, I'm going to do this for you. You know, and just to expound on the final expense, when it comes to final expense policies, right? It's literally just to cover funeral expenses. It's your final expense. It's your last ride. It's your last expense that you will have on this earth. So what does that cover? It covers the burial expenses, the flowers, the funeral service, you know, the plot, the tombstone. It covers all of those things. And 8,000 to 10,000, that's on the low end, just so you guys are aware. That's not like it's, you know, the most extravagant, lavish funeral. That's on the low end, just to give you guys, you know, from the low end, it's about 8,000. The high end is maybe about 15 to 20,000 for a good, decent funeral.
Yeah, no, and you brought up some good, crucial points at the end of the day. And, you know, unfortunately for us, that's a double hit. You know, if you're one of the responsible ones on the family, the cost falls on you. And we do life insurance on top of that. So it's like, hey, Mr. Life, why you ain't? That's why it's even more important to make sure our families are protected. And to your point, Kay, it's serious, man. At the end of the day, you know, again, if we're living paycheck to paycheck, and on the low end it's $8,000 to bury somebody, that's a lot of money. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't have that laying around. And it's not just about the person, so it goes a layer. So it's like, one, like he said in the video, he did it for his grandmother, you know, at the end of the day. But the truth is that person, that older person, I gotta have that conversation. If you have parents, you gotta have that conversation. Like, hey, mom, dad, do you have a life insurance policy? So at least if we have to bury you, we can do that and can afford it. You gotta have that conversation. And if they don't have it, then you gotta jump in as a younger child or caregiver. You got to jump in and prepare for that expense. And that's part of the problem. A lot of people are not preparing for that expense.
And to your point, that's why it's even more important for them to, you know, get something in place, because it's going to come like a thief in the night, right? And I always tell people this, it's not a question of if, but it's a question of when, you know, and you can't control when it's going to happen. You know, everything is, it was all good just a week ago. Like that expression, that phrase is real. Like, you know, you never know when it's going to happen. And that's why it's more important to have something in place at the bare minimum, just to cover the funeral, expenses. You know, shout out to Judy. Yeah, she says funerals are really important. Funerals are really important, expensive. They usually have that one relative who is more financially savvy than others. They unfortunately are coming to you. Life insurance helps in that regard to pay for funeral expenses. This takes the burden off other family members while they are still mourning. Exactly, absolutely. And that's what that does. That's what the policy does. It takes the burden off, you know, that particular family member. It takes the burden off the person who's whose laps that bill is going to fall on. And it's important that we understand that. And I'm telling people that every single day that you live your life, you have to realize that at any given point in time, your life can be over. Or any given point in time, the one that you love the most life can truly be over. Says, fortunately, I have life insurance, therefore I will not put that burden on my loved ones. Shout out to Judy. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, you have that policy in place. That burden is not going to be on anyone else. So you have that peace of mind when you do go. That burden is not going to fall to no one else. So shout out to you for having that life insurance policy in place. I love it. Love to hear it.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. Just a little bit more. At the end of the day, that's great that she has that, because to your point, it's not going to fall on her when it comes time to bury her. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, she's going to advocate for that, to like, hey, have your own life insurance policy. And that's where it starts at. It's just everybody being insured. And the great thing about it is it's super affordable at the end of the day. That's the main thing about it. It's affordable, and it just guarantees, at minimum, if you don't have a normal life insurance policy, not normal, or a fully permanent policy, at least you get this at the minimum to bury you. Is not going to cost anybody any money. So everybody can just grieve and celebrate you in peace and not have that extra burden. Because that's a lot of pressure, man. I mean, imagine, you find out that someone passes and you have 3 or 4 days to actually get money together. Because you can't have a body sitting on ice for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. It has to be a quick thing. So everybody has to pull together real fast. And so it's important to have a life insurance policy or a final expense policy to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And then also, you want the person's last wish or how they want to go out. You got to ask yourself, how do you want to go out, right? And most people don't think about this. And it's okay to want to go out lavish. You live the lavish life. You live the beautiful life. Ain't nothing wrong with having a beautiful funeral. But that can't happen, at the last minute. And that's just anything in life. When you plan at the last minute, things go wrong. There's almost no scenario when you plan something at the last minute where it goes according to plan. There's going to be something that's off. So why even risk that? Some people are like, you know what? I don't care because I'm going to be dead. You will be dead. But guess what? There's going to be 20 to 30 people who's going to be living after that. What if you passed away on the 25th of any month, right? And you got to have that money by the 3rd or 4th, and then you have rent on the 1st, or you have to pay your mortgage on the 1st. You got to pay childcare. You got to pay your light bill. You got to pay your gas bill. Life does not stop. It does not care that something happened to your family. Life does not stop. It continues to go on. So what's going to happen? That's my question for you. I want you guys to truly think about what's going to happen if something were to happen during that time.
I mean, I'll tell you what happened. What happened, Kay, is that ultimately that's what the family came up with, the $94. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's exactly what happened in that particular type of situation, which is crazy, because it's one of those things. And there's GoFundMe, GoFund, whatever you call that thing. People do it all the time. But the truth is that that's not dependable, meaning that you can get some money out of it, you can luck up, but why even take that risk? Imagine a scenario where someone close to you passes away. You find out, like you said, on the 26th, 27th, you got to pay rent, so you really can't afford to actually put money on a funeral, or you can only afford to spare $300-400 or put back some bills move some bills around. That's a tough situation. You know what I mean? And then you feel bad because it's like, damn, I can't even put aside $2,000-3,000 to help bury my mother. Imagine that's your mother or your brother or your sister, you know what I mean? Or a close cousin. That's a hard pill to swallow. Only to know that if you set aside $50 a month, you could have had that paid for in peace of mind. Insurance company just come out and write you a check. Just that simple. A couple of days later, once they verify your death.
You brought up a valid point. Imagine for most of your life, you couldn't, as an adult, you couldn't help out your parents the way that you want to, or the way that you intended to, right? At least this is a way to where, just like how they've taken care of you pretty much for a good portion of your life, this is a beautiful way to pay them back. This is a good way to repay them, is making sure that at the bare minimum, you can cover the cost for their funeral. You're going to cry, you're going to mope, you're going to mourn. Those things are going to naturally happen. There's no doubt about that. But while that's happening, you don't need the extra stress of figuring out how you're going to pay for this. And the worst thing is you just, like Ross said, doing a GoFundMe or letting the city just take over. Honestly,
and the truth is, to your point, Kay, you only need it when you need it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only time it comes into, real play at the end of the day. You only need it when you actually need it. And it's one of those things where it's just crazy because nobody wants to talk about death. And it is uncomfortable. Let's be honest with you. It's uncomfortable talking about death. But it's going to happen. It's the inevitable. Nobody lives forever. Like, it's not a real thing. So it's really one of those things where you have to prepare for it one way or the other. And either you're going to be prepared or unprepared. And what does it look like? The person that's prepared, again, they have the worst case scenario or final expense policy. It's super affordable. It pays for all funeral costs. Somebody passes away. They verify the death. The insurance company cuts you a check. Everything is paid for. The funeral's paid for. Food is paid for. Some people's flights is paid for depending on how deep the policy is. All those old things you didn't think of. The flowers that go with the funeral, picking out the caskets. If we're being honest, caskets are expensive. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, no, you're right. Let's get them casket ready for real, because the caskets are very, very expensive. And you want a nice one. Like, why not? Like I said, you live your whole life doing what you wanted to do. This is the way that you go out. And, there's so many different things that go into preparing for a funeral that you don't understand, because it's not something that's happening every day. So when it's happening all at once. The stress that comes along with preparing for a funeral when you're not already prepared for it, that alone is going to take a toll on you. And to be honest with you, if you're old enough and if you're sick enough, that alone, God forbid, can almost kill you if you're not prepared for that.
And I like that you brought that point up. The other thing I want to bring up too, ultimately, when it comes to that type of thing, is let's think about this. What if you're not dead yet? What if it's the buildup? What if you have cancer or something like that and it's building up? You want to have your ducks in a row in that particular type of situation, because you can map and plan everything out. Hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do, X, Y, Z. Because a lot of times, sometimes, should I say, you don't just die just like that. It actually could be a situation where you have cancer or a terminal illness type of situation. And at least you can prepare, knowing that you have the money set aside apart. You can prepare your money and say, hey, this person gets this amount. This person gets that amount. I want this type of funeral. Or I want to be cremated based off the money that I have, which is a whole nother topic. The way these caskets cost, the average price starts at $1,000 up to $10,000 for a casket. Listen, those prices, some people are forced to get cremated. It's not that people want to get cremated, but some people are forced to get cremated because just burial is just too expensive, which is crazy.
Yeah. And to even get cremated, it still costs. to get burned to ashes, it's still going to cost you, no matter what. It may be a little cheaper than the funeral. That is true. But it's still going to cost you a few $1,000s to get cremated.
You know what's funny, though? Like, as soon as you said that, the ice cream truck was passing around the block. We hear in the background, I'm like... I tell you, the universe is funny, man. Like, you said cremated, ice cream truck is coming around the block. That's funny.
I cool off that comment, right? That's crazy.
Well, to your point, though, Kay, like, imagine a situation where, like, you can't afford to bury somebody and you have to actually cremate them. Like, you actually have to cremate somebody. That's kind of crazy to know that you can't have an open casket and people can't see you for the last time because you couldn't afford to get a coffin and afford the other additional funeral costs. Not only is it embarrassing, but that's a lasting memory, not only for you, but everybody involved. That's wild. When it could be avoided by getting a policy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, shout out to Judy. She says, this is not a hard decision to make. I'm retired and I pay monthly by direct deposit. This is, she brought up a good point. Especially if you already retired, that means you're on a fixed income. So based off of those numbers, why wouldn't you get something to where, once again, you get in that fixed income, you get in a check every single month, take a small portion of that and put it into a policy. Put it into a policy, so that way, at least that part of your, lasting life is taken care of. You don't have to worry about it. Because once again, it can get expensive. You think it's expensive to live? Wait until you get the bill for death. I promise you, that bill will give you a rude awakening. No pun intended, right? But it's like, people have to realize how serious this is, and there's no reason to wait. There's no reason to wait on something like this. And the truth is, most people will. Most people will. But what I would say is that Legacy Builders, here at Legacy Builders, this is what we do, and we're going to continue to annoy you. We're going to continue to bug you about it. We're going to continue to be the ones to let you know. We're going to keep poking you. We're going to be like, hey, hi, how you doing? Yep, it's us again. Until you get it through your thick skulls that you need this in your life. And it's all love. We just want to make sure that we protect yourself, we protect your family. And one day you will thank us. One day,
And the truth is, at the end of the day, is like, this is just one of the many products we have. This is just the final expense, meaning this is the final. This is the last stop. If for some reason you can't afford a different type of policy, or you're not eligible to get other policies that we have that give other benefits, this is the best one and final one. So there's something for everybody. There's a budget for everybody, meaning that it's super affordable. And again, at least it pays this portion of the funeral and nobody has to worry about it. And like I always keep saying, don't just leave people memories, leave them money. You know what I mean? Like the video said, he was laughing, he was joking around, but he was like his uncle, was a drug addict, which is not a funny thing, but it's funny because he was like, yo, he was just robbing people in the family, costing people money, and now he's costing more money, ironically enough. You know what I mean? But if a policy was in effect, as crazy as that is, in that situation, you'd be like, yeah, he didn't live a great life, but you know what? He was that responsible enough to actually just leave a life insurance policy. And it's crazy how the perspective would have changed. Like, yeah, he did all kind of crazy stuff. It's like, but you know what? He had his life insurance policy. We ate good. He went out good. And that's the best way to go out.
And then a lot of times, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times, shout out to everybody in the chat. A lot of times, we're judged based off of only of how we live our life, but not realizing the impact you're going to leave when you're gone, or when you contribute to when somebody's gone, because you could have lived a terrible life, like you just said, but he was responsible enough to make sure that he left something behind, or he contributed to leaving something behind for his parents, so that's important. That's very, very important. Very important. And then also, lastly, I would say is that, everybody who already or is in the midst of getting a policy right now, I want to shout out to you, because, you've heard something and it didn't just go in one ear and out the other. You actually processed it. And now, you're taking action. It's a call to action, and you're actually doing that right now. So shout out to everyone who within the past year, maybe 2 years, even 3 years, who's actually gotten a life insurance policy, because you don't know what you've done to impact yourself and for your family.
Somebody posted, first of all, shout out to everybody in the chat. Anisha Sada, shout out. Sadie, Go Me Fun and Fish, the title prize of selling dinners, the new life insurance file. You ain't lying. you ain't lying. That's real talk. And then also Penny commented too, it's a scary topic. So both y'all made high, strong points. You know what I mean? It's not a fun topic. Nobody wants to talk about dying. I don't want to talk about. Well, actually, I do enjoy talking about dying because I know it's gonna come. But you know what I mean? Like, it's okay. It's just about having a conversation, like I said, because it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. You're gonna die at some point. No matter what you do, no matter where you go, it's gonna happen. The Grim Reaper's coming. Not to sound grim, no pun intended. But you just want to be prepared. And, for people itself, at the end of the day, when it boils down to it, is that anybody the age 50 and up, at minimum, should have a final expense policy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? At minimum. And it's something that's affordable, and you're getting ready to retire. So that's why it's more even important for you to have one of these policies. If you're getting ready to retire, that means you're going to lose that coverage from your job eventually at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So it's definitely one of those things. And yeah, it's one, like you said, it's a cycle of life, should I say. You have circle of life too, though. But you know what I mean? Like, definitely.
So what I would say at this point in time, as we come to a close, once again, shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm taking the time out just to hear this message. That's first and foremost. Secondly, once again, anyone who's already gotten a policy through Legacy Builders, we appreciate you guys. Also, moving forward, anybody who has a policy and don't know what that policy entails, doesn't know how it actually works, we can talk to you about that. We could talk to you about what type of policy you have, how much coverage it is, what it actually means. Does your policy come with living benefits? All of these things that the policy entails, we can help you figure that out, because I know people who have policies that have no idea what they have. So this is something that we do want to go over with you if you do have something in place. And once again, man, we are here to help families, not just individuals. We are here to help families and change the trajectory of your life and the future that comes, the next generation, if you know what I'm talking about. But shout out to everybody. We appreciate you guys. And Rod, do you have any last minute comments, jokes, concerns about today?
Yeah, man. Anybody that's watching, just go to the site and book an appointment, man. I mean, it's just that simple. Again, if you don't have a life insurance policy, you have one at your job, like you said, and you don't understand it, just reach out, and we'll just give you a basic quote. It doesn't hurt to find out how much it costs to protect your family, protect your loved ones. That's all we can ask you for. So it's literally that simple. It just takes a couple minutes, book an appointment, and we'll sit down and talk. Last thing I'll bring up, we definitely have a New Jersey event coming up, which is coming up on September 27th. That's going to be in Greenbrook, New Jersey, where it's going to be vibes and Visions Vibes and Brunch?
Yeah, Vision and Vibes.
Vision and Vibes.
The brunch.
Yeah, I had too many sips. But yeah, so yeah, don't need to put in the link. Yeah, I'm gonna put the website in the link. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, come through. You know what I mean? Invite everybody. We're gonna have a Zoom special for everybody else as well too. So at the end of the day, everybody gets something out of it, whether you come in person or you just want to log in online. You know what I mean? Again, you just go to the website and book your tickets there. www.legacybuildersus.com. And yeah, that's all I got. I mean, the last thing I would say, Kay, is maybe we could go ahead and play a last 1 minute of the video. Maybe 30, 40 seconds, give people a little bit of last before we head out here tonight.
All right, give me a second. I got you.
Then they called me back. Well, your grandmother don't want to fly because she don't like to fly nowhere. Somebody had to get on a Greyhound bus with her for 2 days all the way down to Mississippi. I said, let me say this. She's my grandmother, so that's your mama. You know what I mean? That's two different things. I don't have to ride with y'all. Y'all can put the grandmother on me. That's your mother. So they did. So now we on this Greyhound bus. I don't know if anybody ride the Greyhound bus recently. Greyhound ain't not like how it used to be. The Greyhound was beautiful. It was nice. It's the scariest place to go to now, the Greyhound station. Matter of fact, I was the only person with a luggage bag there. Everybody's looking at me like, who the hell is that with a luggage bag? Everybody else had grocery store bags tied up with their clothes in it. Walked through the Greyhound said, well, who the hell is Richie Rich? I get on there, I'm a grandmother. She want a snack from the, they got the little snack places. First of all, don't ever buy a hot dog or anything from a Greyhound station. You don't know how long that hot dog been spinning. I walked over there, the hot dog had a mustache and a face. I'm like, it grew into a person. I think it worked here. We get on the bus. It's a good ride. Now, nowadays, it ain't just regular patrons on the bus. Sometimes they have people who just got out of jail randomly on your bus, which is the scariest thing in the world. And my grandmother just kept trying to speak to everybody. She's trying to pray for people. I'm like, Grandma, you can't say nothing. These are convicts. Let them mind their business. She's like, no, he needs my prayer. She started grabbing this dude's hands. So she's still hungry because I didn't get this dirty hot dog from the snack station. So we stop at a rest stop, right? I got the McDonald's there. And I'm gonna say this, like, if you're on a bus, on a Greyhound bus, most of the people on the bus bring their own food. Nobody get the McDonald's. I come on the bus with the 4-piece nugget, everybody stop eating their sandwiches. Oh, wait a minute. Who was fancy pants with a 4-piece nugget? All I got was 4 pieces. Hey, Richie Rich, you have to share those nuggets with everybody on the bus. It's only a 4-piece, I don't care. Matter of fact, look, you ain't gotta get nobody else a nugget. Let me get a dip. He wanted to dip his sandwich in my sweet and sour sauce. Come on, brother, let me get a dip. No big deal, let me dip my sandwich in it. Now I'm about to fight this dude over nuggets. And then he threatened me. He didn't give me the, like, you know what's funny? He gave me a threat that I thought as I became a grown-up, I wouldn't ever hit his threat again. Anybody here wear glasses, you hear the same threat for the rest of your damn life. He didn't threaten to punch me in the face. He didn't threaten to shoot me. He's like, look here, you don't give me no nuggets, I'm gonna knock your damn glasses off your face. I'm like, you can't come up with nothing new.
He ain't lying.
We
He
get
ain't
there,
lying.
this long trip, start seeing all my family there. And I give them a speech too, like, you know, because I pay for everything. And we had this limo. And I'm like, look here, y'all. I paid for this funeral. Ain't nobody else riding this limo with me. It's just me. I'm showing up by myself, VIP, to my uncle, Uncle Fred.
That's about to be me. I'll tell you that much. That's about to be me. I paid for this. VIP for me only.
That's funny. All right, man. We're gonna go ahead and close this thing out. We're gonna go ahead and close this thing out. Once again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Here at Legacy Builders, we build together to grow forever. Hope everybody have a wonderful night. Appreciate you guys and talk to you soon. Peace.
Definitely. Go to the site.